The sun is shining, the weather is clear, and the wind is whipping around the harbour here in Hong Kong as World Triathlon prepares for the first race of the elite men in a World Cup competition in this stunning city. Almost a couple of early jumpers, not the most convincing horn into the water to say the least, but the men are out and underway in the harbour of Hong Kong on the swift 750-metre swim out to the boys, the three boys that will mark the right-hand turn that needs to be taken, which is why, as we saw in the women's event earlier this morning, so many of the top athletes choosing to find that inside line straight away off the pontoon.
I found being on that inside line was of benefit, and you can see some of those top-ranked athletes today choosing to line up on the inside. See a little bit of chop there as well, making it challenging conditions.
I was going to say, you can see that swell coming in. They're just having to try and work their way through. There's Smith, I think, as well, just on the heels of DeVay, the American, wearing the number 15, that silver swim cap. DeVay, though, is just stretching out the gap again to get away from Moyer. And then there's two in hot pursuit, the American and the Japanese athlete, Kenji Nena.
You can see our two lead athletes, Mark DeVay, Diego Moyer, a little bit of a gap then, and then you've got Kenji Nena swimming there with Dar Smith.
Strong finish in the World Cup positions for him with a top 10 as well in Miyazaki, and DeVay leads them out of the water, and that's the difficulty that even he and a couple of the others that were first out just starting to struggle with. Moyer's hot on his heels, the Chilean in second out of the water. Nena in third. You can hear him being roared on by the Hong Kong support, as they all are, as they make their way on this long run down to transition. This is where it gets busy.
Yeah, we had the Dar Smith sitting behind Kenji Nena, Martin Demuth, the Austrian, Robin Elg of Hong Kong, Alberto Gonzalez Garcia, Beda Sawane, the Moroccan athlete, Panagiotis Batadas, Alois Knabel, and Max Stapley. It's a fast and furious transition here by the men. Mark DeVay out of transition first.
It's a delight to see some of the best athletes in the world at this level coming to Hong Kong finally. It's synonymous, of course, with Asia Cup events, this city, but getting the chance to host its first ever World Cup event, something very special indeed, but the aesthetics are certainly living up to the occasion.
Yeah, the athletes are really enjoying coming to race somewhere new, and they've spoken about how warmly they've been welcomed, and you know, it's been an absolute pleasure coming to race in such an iconic city.
Just wonder if many of them will look to try and perhaps break off from the leading group.
Yeah, we just saw Batadas there, the Greek athlete, trying to get everyone to work, get organized.
Certainly a few barking out the orders down there. A few impressive athletes out there. Alberto Gonzalez and Antonio Serrat, the Spanish pair, might try and work together. DeVay now takes his turn up at the front. I wonder if he's got enough in him today to be able to stick himself in a medal spot. We know he's so good in the swim. We know he can produce on the run. It's sometimes the bike that lets him down a little.
So just 2 laps left now on this bike course, so 8 kilometers left.
The chasers are hunting. It's running out though for anybody to really make a move. Bitados again, the driving force up at the front. There's still no sign of that chase group in the background either. One of the best sections that we get to see if anybody's following in hot pursuit. Doesn't look like it's so at the moment.
No, word on the ground is 24 seconds is now the time gap to the chase group. You know, if they can keep that gap down to 15, 20 seconds, there is a chance for some of those faster runners in that little chase group there to really get into the top 10, perhaps even top 5, depending on the run pedigree of these athletes.
Time for the quick dismount. And into transition 2. DeVay leading them, Gonzalez up alongside him. Who's got the best opportunity out there on the run? Who are the strongest runners out there in the humidity?
Tadas with a really slick transition there. Elg of Hong Kong, Kenji Nena.
Bitados isn't exactly looking back. He's not fussed about if anybody else is going to come with him. He's the one who's been pushing the pace almost more than anybody else out there on the course on the bike. He's the one we've seen perhaps being the most active in terms of looking back as we see the chase group come in, the likes of Hojo in this chasing group to try and latch on to any of the stragglers at the back or work their way through any of those leading men out. Willian as well going out, the Australian. Stefan Zacchaeus we saw as well just going through transition. This is the far busier group that were around about 40 odd seconds off the leaders at the last time split. As a few of them are catching him and throwing him back out the other way. Serrat, Nena and Gonzalez, the front three, with Bitados trying to hang tough with them.
Serrat has sealed his position for Paris, the only Spanish male to do so. He had that really fabulous second in Brasilia. He had that good tussle with Hidalgo of Brazil, first and second in Brasilia. So yeah, he's hoping to go one better here today with try and get on the top of the podium. No pressure on him as well. He's just racing, I guess, for fitness, for form, for medals, I suppose, as well. He's got a selection. He's got, you know, until August to the Olympic Games, so he can just, I suppose, enjoy himself and just race freely.
Again, it's interesting to know the mentality of those leading two, in particular Serrat and Nena. One with perhaps a little bit of pressure to find that first World Cup podium, the other one running just for the thrill of it right now, knowing that his 2024 season is fairly mapped out in front of him already. Gonzalez just with a little grimace, a struggle to try and stay on with those leading men. Is there a point perhaps on this first lap that you're eyeing up where you think the best place would be to make a move for that second lap when you're in this sort of position with two athletes around you or so?
Yeah, you'll be able to, I guess, kind of feel if an athlete's stronger on the inclines, for example, or declines. We saw that a little bit in the women's race. Kirsten Kasper seemed to be quite strong on the downhills, and that's where we also saw Sian Rainsley make her move, was on that underpass section. Yeah, Serrat and Nina exchanging lead. Gonzalez just hanging on the back of them at the moment. Might be tactical. Dar Smith there, Max Stapley having a strong run. Luke Willian as well, running really well there.
Yeah, he's come from a fair way back. Bitados is between those two groups, the leaders and that cluster of three behind, with Stapley and Willian and Smith.
Right now, leading the race in the front, deploying those aggressive tactics, and yeah, let's see if that pays off.
Has he been too aggressive in terms of being the tempo and pace maker on this run? That's the first of the dead turns, by the way, that they've made. They're pushing their way up to the last one of them. And Nena's suddenly being left as Serrat and Gonzalez push, and Nena's having to react, and he's going to have to react on the uphill.
Meanwhile, Luke Willian is chasing from behind there. Looks like that gap's staying consistent around that 8-9 second mark.
This is going to feel really tough for Nena, as he's suddenly seen Serrat and Gonzalez go. Gonzalez the one suddenly, after sitting in third for so long, to push this tempo, and Nena's getting left behind as well a little. Looks a touch tighter as Serrat is loose with the legs and languid down the hill, striding out along with his fellow countrymen. Nena's going to have to use all of his resources. You talk about being aggressive. He's going to have to be so aggressive, surely, to catch up with these two. Again, you see that burst, almost sprinting for a moment.
Yeah, it looks like he's perhaps got back on the back of the two Spaniards here. He would have seen Luke Willian. He would have seen that gap to fourth place.
Gonzalez, look at that drive from Gonzalez. He's going and going early. Clear as day. He's wanting a sprint finish from almost 500-600 meters out, maybe even more. There's a long way to go on this last leg that drives and grinds round across blue carpet, but that's not your finishing line initially. That's the transition area here.
That's a massive sprint by Alberto Gonzalez, going from really far out there, obviously backing his form at the moment.
And why not when you've got the gap that you've got between him and his fellow countryman Antonio Serrat? Gonzalez continuing to push Not a misjudgment. Perhaps the perfect judgment time. And look at that, even affording himself a wry smile and a shake of the head. A hand raised in celebration. And he knows that gold is coming his way. It's going to be a second medal on the World Cup stage in 2024 already for the impressive Spaniard Alberto Gonzalez, who takes gold here in Hong Kong, followed by Antonio Serrat, who has to settle for silver, and Kenji Nena finally gets his World Cup podium and a bronze, but perhaps he'll wonder what could have been here in Hong Kong this morning. An excellent effort as well from Luke Willian to come in fourth, leaving everybody else behind him. And you have to say that the Spanish have come on and put on an armada-like onslaught on Hong Kong.
Finally in the rank was a bit ugly. I think we were always in the front with the guys. We tried to push on the bike. I think we collaborate really well and we can keep the gap. Well, as you see, the final in the run was Kenji and Antonio. I tried to do all my best.
Antonio, obviously a teammate you know well. You knew exactly what you needed to do and the right time to do it on that slide downhill, no, on the uphill coming out of that tunnel.
Finally, we know each other. We use our power in every part of the race. He's stronger on the bike. I couldn't do too much, but finally in the run, luckily I feel great. Well, now I'm really happy.
I'm not surprised, and the form is obviously on. These are the races. This is the time of year. You're third in Napier. Antonio is the only guy from the Spanish team so far qualified. You knew what you had to do. This is the form you want to find.
Yeah, totally. I'm really happy that he's already qualified. We need a strong man in the Olympic team, and he is. He really did in all this year. He really deserves it. And now to share a podium with him as a teammate, something amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much. The first race of the season is always a little different, no? Because I need to know how respond my body in a race, in a real race. And I'm happy with the result because I think it was a good swim. We worked all the breakaway on the bike. And in the run, I start, I think, why not? I try. In the first K, I start really fast. But in the second 1K with Alberto and Kenji, try to know how our energy. And in the last K, I try. But when I was saw Alberto catch me, I know that his sprint is very well. I try, but today I haven't more energy, and I'm happy for him because he's a good friend for our team Spain. I am happy for them and for me and for all the Spanish athletes.
I think everyone was emotional after Abu Dhabi. I especially was, and it was hard to get going again. I really just wanted to leave nothing out there, and I ran a really aggressive race. Of course, it wasn't the smartest race, nor was it tactical, especially in this heat. But at the end of the day, if I'm going to race against the best in the world, the level's going to be up, and I'm not going to be leading. So I've got to put myself out there and just race aggressive and then save it for the big race. So, yeah, I'm excited, and I'm so happy for these guys. Thank you, everyone who supports me. I mean, it's been a tough journey since the last 6 years, but it's progression. So thank you, everyone, for supporting me, and I love you all. Thank you so much.
But perhaps the most impressive moment of the morning here in Hong Kong was when this man clicked into 7th gear, turned it up to 11, and rocketed home to take the gold medal. And they're going to have to make a move quickly, because I tell you what, triathletes don't tend to hang around for too long, whether it's on the course or popping the champagne. Hong Kong signs off with a flourish, to say the least. We'll leave you with the champagne celebrations for the athletes. From myself, Ollie Wilson, and Gillian Sanders, a big thank you for joining us. And the inaugural World Cup race in Hong Kong has well and truly been a success. We'll be back again on triathlonlive.tv.